Welcome to the Mother-Daughter Empower podcast, a show that provides moms with the tips, tools, and resources that they need to raise the next generation of empowered girls. I'm your host, Tara Filto. Now let's get started. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Mother-Daughter Empowerment Show. I am so excited. Today's guest is Farah Miltimore. Thank you so much for being with us today. Farah is a professional speaker. She's a coach and a motivator, and she grew up overweight, and she battled with self-hate for a long time, but she has since made many changes, and Farah's goal is to show up for girls and help them find their self-love. So thank you so much for being with us here today, and I'm so excited for you to share more about your journey and the changes that you made and how you came about being the woman you are today. So thanks for being here.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share because a lot of the time when we hear about people's transformations and their weight loss, we bypass the part where they had to do the internal work first. And it's not something that's usually talked about. Usually when it comes to weight loss and transformations and finding yourself, everyone jumps to, what did you eat? How many times a week did you exercise? What did you restrict from your diet? And we're just feeding into the diet culture, which is kind of something that I'd like to stray away from. So my story, I guess, let's go way back. I started my weight loss journey at the age of 7. So I grew up in a very, very loving home, like loving to the point of like, sometimes, when you feel suffocated by love, like everyone was there to support me, to help me, to guide me, to kind of push me through this journey, because I grew up and everyone was like, she hasn't lost the baby weight. Why isn't the baby weight going anywhere? Because my brothers, I have 3 older brothers, and they all grew up when they were little, they were chubby, and then, they got older and it went away. And that's kind of what everyone was expecting for me. But as time went on, the weight stayed on. So my weight loss journey started at 7, and that started with going to child outreach centers, child psychologists, nutritionists, dietitians. What else did I do? I did fitness programs. I had fitness assessments done, blood work, anything and everything under the sun. My parents tried. They were trying. They wanted me to just be a quote unquote normal kid. And they didn't want me growing up having this extra weight because they thought it was unhealthy. They thought it was something that, wasn't normal for a small child. So we kept going to all these appointments and doing all these things. And as this is happening, what I understand now is it's programming in my subconscious as a little child that I was broken and that I needed to be fixed, that something was wrong with me, that we couldn't find a solution, that I couldn't get it right, and that I would never get it right. So fast forward into my teenage years, I sort of gave up. And as a teenager, you're hormonal. So your hormone levels are up and down. Your body is changing. Weight loss is something that's really hard to do as a teenager because you're still growing. Your body is still developing. So as I'm going through and I keep yo-yoing, I lose a little bit, I gain it back. I lose a little bit, I gain it back. I try every single diet and program under the sun between Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, any sort of like infomercial that we would see on TV, any South Beach diet, all those things. I had all the books, I had all the programs, I had all the meals, anything and everything. But as a kid, it's really hard to follow those systems as well. So I stopped again. And then my subconscious would program again. You're broken. You can't fix this. You're broken. You can't fix this. You're not going to be able to do this on your own. You need everyone else's help. You need all these programs and the dietitians and all of these people. You'll never be able to do it on your own. So I, again, gave up and kept moving forward with my life. I then, at the age of, and of course, in between, there's conversations that you have in your head of, well, why me? Why can't I just be like my friends? Joy was something everyone, people I had a mentor say to me, go back when you were a kid. sorry, turn that off, and find the joy from when you were a child. And it was really hard for me to do because I skipped that part of my childhood. Anytime we would go do anything active or, go to a friend's pool party or whatever it was, I was in my head judging myself. I'm not as fast as everyone else. I'm not as skinny as everyone else. I can't do what everyone else does. So the joy was kind of sucked out of my childhood, mostly because of that. So then fast forward to I was 19, I think, and I had just dropped out of university. I went to the University of Waterloo at 17, arts undeclared, had no idea what I was doing, partied a little too hard, and decided it was time for me to come home. So with living in residence comes a freshman 15. For me, it was more of a freshman 30. So I came home at my largest in my adolescence. And my mom and my brother said to me, we've tried everything we can. I think it's time we look at surgeries. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought maybe I could try again and see what happens. But no, so we went surgery path. And as a kid, as a teenager, you hope and you think that everyone has your best interest at heart. So I said, okay, for sure. So we figured out what was the most non-intrusive. So at 19, I had a laparoscopic band put in. So what that does, for those that don't know what a lap band does, is it shrinks the size of your stomach. So it's a band that goes on the top portion of the stomach, and they put a fluid in it that tightens around the tummy. So then you have like a little bubble on top and then the rest of your stomach on the bottom. So whenever that little bubble is filled up, that cues your brain to tell you that you're full. So it's a system of portion control from within the body. Mm-hmm. What they don't tell you is that it's very hard to digest foods. They also don't tell you is that it's really hard to drink water. So if you're really thirsty and you chug a glass of water, you're almost immediately going to throw up. So I got the lap band. I dropped from, I think at that point I was probably a size 18 and I went down to a size 8. And I thought that was it. I thought that was the cure. I thought I was happy, but I was still miserable inside. And I didn't know at that point what it was, because you don't learn these things at that age. So I kept moving on through life. And as I'm moving on through life, all the weight gained right back. Yet I was still uncomfortable eating. I could barely eat a meal without having to go to the washroom and either, vomiting because the food wasn't sitting right, or just not eating at all because it was embarrassing. I remember a first date with my husband, I had to run to the washroom when we were out because I couldn't keep the food down. So I had to run and then run back, and my eyes were watery. I'm like, no, I'm okay. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Goodness. And then I got pregnant after we got married, and I was at my biggest. I think I was at a size 24 at that point. And I was miserable, and I was sad, and I was lonely, and I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know why I was like this. And like I said, my subconscious had programmed that I was broken and that I couldn't be fixed. So I didn't fix myself. I gave up on myself, like a lot of women do in different areas of their life, especially when you become a mom. You lose yourself within those roles sometimes. So I completely lost myself, and I'm a very selfless person. So I gave my all to everyone else other than myself. At the age of 32, I decided enough was enough. I woke up one day and I just had this click, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep giving up on myself. So I dove into a mindset, spiritual guidance, sort of a journey, and realized that the only way for me to lose the weight was to emotionally let go of the weight. Mm-hmm. I was still that little girl that was sad inside, that was broken inside, that felt like she was worthless because of the size of her body and that she wasn't good enough. So I had to revisit my childhood in my mind and hug her and cry with her and tell her that she was loved and that she was worthy and that she was perfect exactly the way she was, which were the things that were never said to me. I got things as a kid like, oh, such a pretty girl. Too bad, you're overweight, or too bad you're chubby, or you have such a pretty face. It's too bad that your body, is the way it is. So when you hear those things as a child, they burn and they stick for a really long time. until you revisit them and you tell that child that she's okay and that she's perfect. So I did that with every stage of my life. At any point where I felt like I had to revisit and talk to them, I did. And now 3 years in, I was a 24. I'm now a size 10. Uh, no restrictive eating. I looked into intuitive eating and figured out, eating foods that made me feel good, that made me happy, things that I wouldn't beat myself up over. I let go of the judgment of my body and just kind of found joy in eating and found joy in exercise. So that's what's led me to where I am today.
Wow, that's such an incredible journey. Thank you so much for bringing us through. Literally, you said since you were 7 years old
Yeah.
until today. And I think that for the moms that are watching, there's a lot of nuggets there that we can, take back. What is your advice to moms that are dealing with their daughters that are perhaps overweight, or
Mhm.
that perhaps their daughters feel like they're more self-conscious? And so what is your advice to moms? Obviously we need to choose our words wisely, but what would you suggest kind of where to start basically?
I think start with leading by example.
Mm,
It's really hard. Body image and positive self-image is really hard for us as moms and as women. So if you have little girls at home, start with yourself. Show them that regardless of what size you are or what bumps and stretch marks you have, that you still have a love for you. Because we're so much more than our body,
mm-hmm.
that we really need to clue into that first in order to really appreciate the body that we have. So start with yourself. And then when it comes to talking to your girls, remind them that they're perfect the way that they are, that they're still so small and they're so young, and bodies change. This isn't forever. Whatever you're in right now isn't forever. So just be mindful of the words you use. Start with yourself first, and just show them that having a healthy lifestyle can be fun. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be strenuous workouts and restricting food and not eating carbs and all this crazy stuff. It's just about enjoying life, really.
Yes, and I think it really does come down to lifestyle, and
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's with our kids, modeling that, whether it's let's go for a bike ride today. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't feel like it. No, let's go out, and just encouraging them, not reminding them that we're doing this because of your weight. I think
Right.
that's huge.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
really about creating that lifestyle, and doing it as a family, and kind of practice what you preach. And if they
Exactly.
see mom making the effort to be active, and that's just in general to be healthy,
Yeah.
that speaks
Yeah. And
volumes.
I think if moms are stuck in um, if you haven't worked out in a while, or if you're stuck in that not getting physically active, or if you find yourself like me, where I was doing everything for everyone else and not for myself, I think it's about starting to understand that being selfish is okay as a mom.
Mhm.
It's okay. It starts with you, and you have to do it for you, even, for teenage girls or for little girls or whoever it is, and women. You can't lose weight for anyone else. It's not for anyone else. I talk to a lot of women, and my clients will say, I want to get healthy for my kids so that I'm there. But I'm like, okay, I get that. But you have to want it for yourself. You have to want to do this for you in order to make it work. So just remember that it's for you. It's for your own joy. It's for your mental health. So if it's taking a 10-minute walk on your own, go do that and then bring the kids, so that it becomes a part of everyone's lifestyle. Once it becomes a part of yours, it's really easy to implement the rest of the family into it.
Yes, I love that. So really starting with you,
Yeah.
and like you mentioned, for moms that have perhaps not been active or working out, maybe just making those baby steps. And
Yeah,
obviously we talk about this all the time on the show, that our kids don't listen to us, but they're watching and they see
exactly.
everything we do, and they
Yep.
soak it all in. So eventually, as that becomes our new routine, it becomes the new routine for our entire
Everyone.
family.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Farah, for being with us today and sharing your story. And before we leave today, if anyone wants to reach you, where can they find you? Your website, your Instagram, can you share that with us today? And we will link it as well in the interview.
Of course. So you can find me, my website's farahmiltimore.com. I'm on Instagram at Farah Miltimore, Facebook, same thing. And what else do I have? I've got a YouTube channel that I'm just ramping up again. And I'm also on TikTok, which is also a lot of fun. So I drop a lot of nuggets and a lot of value on, my personal journey, what's worked for me, what's worked for clients, and just like to have a lot of fun, mostly on my social media.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll have a lot of our members that'll want to follow you. And like I mentioned, I'll tag all of your channels below so they can easily access you. And thanks again for being with us today. Greatly appreciated.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. Don't forget to sign up for our free monthly mother-daughter membership, which gives you instant access to our members-only Facebook group, monthly empowerment toolkit, and much more. Sign up today by visiting www.motherdaughterempower.ca. See you soon.